What's going on, YouTube? This is Matt here. I am a medical device manager. If you're new to the channel, I do a lot of medical device sales videos, anything from help breaking in, helping to carve out your territory once you are in, and essentially everything in between. If you're returning, thank you very much. You're the reason I keep trying to pump out these videos for everybody to listen to them. So in this video, I wanted to talk about, my experience, because I talk to a lot of medical device reps all the time. And, I wanted to share the key takeaways that all of them have in common. I've spoke with 200 of them. I spoke with 200 of them. So I wanted to share exactly what was going on. So without further ado, we'll get right into it. So something I wanted to say is sticking through the tough times in the beginning is everything. Every single med device rep that I have spoken to seems to think that their company didn't supply them with enough training. They got thrown into the fire right away. It was like drinking from a fire hose. You hear all of those kinds of things all the time. And, every one of them, they all have that in common, but they all tell you that you have to stick through it in order to see the greater good. Because here's what happens. If you go and you leave a company because it's too hard or you don't like it in that first year period, you go to a different company and then realize it's the exact same thing that's going on, then you've essentially just done nothing, unless you're able to take that and jump your income from the other job. But if you haven't even been in that job for a year, I doubt you're going to be able to do that. So sticking through the tough times is something that they all have in common and speak about. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is how important emotional intelligence is. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is essentially reading the room, so to speak. So when someone, when you're talking to a physician and you can see that they're visibly not interested in what you're saying, or you can see that they're in a hurry to get back to their patients, you have emotional intelligence. Where you don't have it is if you can't tell that this physician doesn't want to talk to you and you just keep blurbing about your topic anyway, and it gets them fired up. So, that can obviously happen as well. So if you have emotional intelligence, especially in this business where you're selling to, high value individuals, that is going to get you far, and it's something that you absolutely have to have. So the next one is that you can job hop, but don't do it too often. So for example, you definitely can't try and swap your job every single year to something else, because eventually companies are going to catch on. It's going to become a giant trend in your resume. And when it's a trend on your resume for too long, companies realize that you're just trying to use them for a quick buck and don't really actually care about growing their business. So don't do this. You can job hop every once in a while. I'd recommend like every few years to stay relevant, to, maybe just test the water and see if you can get a higher paying job. But realistically, staying in the job that you're in, unless it's just a terrible job, you're going to be able to scale it and grow your income year over year. So that's as long as you're doing everything that you have to do to grow the business. But that's just, my thoughts, their thoughts on that. Don't do it too often. But do it if you have to, and do it when you've had years in the business. So the next one is the fact that your network is your net worth in this business. This business is all about who you know, really. So the more connected you are to people in the space that you're in, the better you're going to do. Because, for example, in my territory I was at before, I could just text all the surgeons at a moment's notice, and I had all their phone numbers and everything like that. A newer rep that's coming in is not going to have any of that. It's going to be very hard for them to compete because they don't have any of that. So your network is everything, and it takes a longer time to build up that network. And by taking that longer time, that means that you have to stay in the job that you're in for a longer period of time to build that network as, your reputation as that rep builds. So the next thing they all have in common is once you get in and get into your first medical device job, make sure you hustle and make sure you earn it, because you might not get this chance again. You finally made it. You got your first job. Make sure you're doing literally everything in your power to make sure that this job goes smoothly. So any other things that you have or may have done in the past or something like that, chuck all of that out the window. Focus on all of your attention on the task at hand, growing out that business, and you're going to be just fine. It's when people get distracted by other things in their lives, or, they spend more time focusing on friends or going out at night or alcohol or those kind of things, is when you can get completely distracted from what you're doing. And if you know that your competition isn't doing that, then you're going to have a real tough time beating them. And the last key takeaway that I wanted to talk about is no matter if you work at a bigger company or a smaller company, everybody can make money. I personally know a lot of friends that work for smaller companies and they make way more money than people at the bigger companies do. And this can also be vice versa. I mean, I also know people at the bigger companies that make a sweet paycheck that the smaller companies will never get to. But, you know, it's all relative. So don't think, depending on who you work for, the amount of money you're going to make is going to be different. Product will be way different. So if you work for a company that's terrible, you probably won't be able to sell your products. Keep that in mind. But if you work for, you know, a small company that's got a good niche product or something like that, you're going to be able to sell it and you're going to be able to scale it. So don't think too hard about that. Just try and get in. When you do get in, make sure you form solid, amazing relationships with everybody at that company. And then, you know, just come to work every day and, you know, put on a smile, make sure people like you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Those are the things that I've gathered upon talking with many med reps in the space. So, you know, take care, guys. Leave a like, subscribe if you can. Chat at you next time.